All right, welcome back to ABA exam review, the continuation of our RBT practice question series where we're going through the next set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. You begin to take a shower in the morning after working out. Whenever you grab the shampoo bottle to try and get shampoo, nothing comes out. You start shaking the bottle harder and smacking the bottle in an attempt to get shampoo to come out. What describes your behavior? All right, behavior question. We're looking at your behavior. So, what are you doing? What do we know about your behavior? Well, you're trying to take a shower and you grab the shampoo bottle to try and get shampoo out, but nothing comes out. We think about the past. Learning history says when you grab the shampoo bottle, shampoo will come out. In this case, nothing did. Now think very quickly about what this looks like. To me, it looks like extinction because extinction is withholding reinforcement for previously reinforced behavior. Previously, when I grab the shampoo bottle, shampoo comes out. If no shampoo has come out, shampoo is being withheld and reinforcement is being withheld. So what happens is you shake the bottle harder, you smack the bottle in an attempt to get the shampoo to come out. Your behavior is increasing in intensity, increasing in frequency. Why is that? What do we call that? A, extinction. Now be careful here. Yes, we could say your behavior is on extinction, but extinction doesn't describe your actual behavior. Extinction is the procedure or what is occurring. Your behavior is going through B, an extinction burst. So be careful here. Good example of why you need to read every single answer choice and not just pick the first answer that you like. Extinction is describing what's occurring. Extinction burst is describing your behavior. Spontaneous recovery occurs once extinction is complete, and we're still in the midst of extinction, so no spontaneous recovery yet. And then punishment induced aggression. Your behavior is not being punished. There's a difference between extinction and punishment. Punishment, something's being added or taken away. Extinction is withholding something. In this case, shampoo or reinforcement is being withheld. So, what describes your behavior? B, extinction burst. Started off with the difficult one. Hopefully, you got it right. If not, pause the video, review extinction, extinction burst, and spontaneous recovery, and then come back. Rick races downstairs to see what presents Santa brought him last night. Rick opens his first present, which is a toy truck. 3 minutes later, Rick opens his second present, a Lego set. 5 minutes later, Rick opens his third present, which is a baseball glove. 3 and 5 minutes most represents blank relative to this scenario. Question is asking about 3 and 5 minutes and how they are represented in this scenario. We're measuring something, right? And we're measuring time. 3 and 5 minutes are units of time. So immediately when you're measuring units of time, you can start to eliminate things like frequency, and you have to start thinking about things like duration, latency, and inter-response time. Now, rate is a little trickier because rate has frequency and a time component. But let's just look at what we know about 3 and 5 minutes. So we know Rick went downstairs to open his first present, which is a toy truck. 3 minutes later, he opened his second present. 5 minutes later, he opened his third present. So at what point in time are we measuring 3 and 5 minutes? Are we measuring Rick's length of time it takes to open the present? Do we measure how long it took Rick to race downstairs? No, we're measuring in between responses. We're not measuring actual responses. And that's the difference between latency, inter-response time, and duration. Duration measures actual responses. Latency and inter-response time measure time in between. Okay, so with this scenario, we're measuring the time in between Rick opening presents. So we're not measuring latency because latency is the time in between the SD and the first response. So latency might be as soon as Rick sees the present, how long does it take to open his first present? But inter-response time is going to be time in between opening presents. And in this case, it's 3 minutes and then 5 minutes. It's not rate because we're not concerned with how many presents Rick is opening per unit of time. We're just measuring in between presents how long is passing. What is the amount of time occurring in between Rick's responses? And that is what 3 and 5 minutes represents. They represent inter-response time. It is the holidays, which means you'll be indulging in food and alcohol in excess for nearly a week straight. After this week is over, you don't drink any alcohol or eat any unhealthy food for 2 whole weeks because you are satiated on food and alcohol. What describes what has happened following the holiday week? Keyword here is satiated. And what is satiation associated with? Satiation is associated with motivating operations. Remember, deprivation and satiation have to do with motivating operations. Because when you're deprived of something, you're not getting enough of something. When you're satiated on something, you've gotten too much of something. And so in this case, you indulge in food and alcohol in the week of the holidays. Afterward, you don't eat those for 2 whole weeks because you're satiated. You've got your fill. You've gotten enough. So, what describes what happens when you're satiated on something? A, the value of food and alcohol is increased. When you're satiated, has the value of what you're satiated on increased? Well, of course not. It's decreased. The desire, the motivation to get it has decreased. It's why when we give a client the same reinforcer over and over again, it sometimes starts to lose its effectiveness because the client has started to satiate by getting the same thing over and over again. So when you satiate, the value of the item, in this case, food and alcohol, decreases. Satiation has to do with motivating operations. C, you're being prompted to not eat food and drink alcohol. We're not talking about prompts here. We're talking and focusing on this idea of satiation. So we're not talking about prompts. And D, there is no SD present for food and alcohol. Now, that might not be true. In that 2 weeks following the holiday week, there's likely times you could have eaten unhealthy food or drank alcohol because they were likely available at some point. But you didn't because due to the holiday week and following the holiday week, you've been satiated, the value of food and alcohol has decreased. Arnie wants to start a new workout routine as his New Year's resolution. He asks his girlfriend to give him $1 every time he wakes up before 5 a.m. and to not give him $1 whenever he wakes up after 5 a.m., starting January 1st. What describes the intervention used in this scenario? If you've been studying and you're fluent, you should be able to think about this rather quickly. Remember, we're not trying to go fast, but the more accurate you get and the more fluent you get, the quicker you're going to go. So you can likely predict this answer. We're looking at the intervention. So Ernie wants a new workout routine. He tells his girlfriend, give me $1 if I wake up before 5 a.m. Don't give me $1 if I wake up after. Very straightforward differential reinforcement. Waking up before 5 a.m. is getting reinforced. Waking up after is not. Simple as that. But we have to ask ourselves, are we reinforcing alternative behaviors or incompatible behaviors? Because we're not using a DRO. We're not using a differential reinforcement of other behaviors. How do we know that? Well, because we're teaching a new behavior. DRO does not teach a replacement or a new behavior. You can eliminate C. Now, can you get up at 5 a.m. and after 5 a.m.? No, those are incompatible. So what we're doing here is reinforcing getting up before 5 a.m. and not after 5 a.m. We're differentially reinforcing incompatible behaviors. Very, very straightforward differential reinforcement question. If you struggled with this, go back and review differential reinforcement. With differential reinforcement, we are reinforcing our target and putting something else on extinction. Morgan gets a new electric scooter for Christmas. The first time she gets on, she falls off immediately. The next time she tries, she can ride for a few seconds. She slowly builds up to the point where she can ride without falling off. What describes the process of Morgan learning to ride the scooter? All right, so we're looking at Morgan and her process of learning her scooter. She first gets it and falls off immediately. Okay. Gets on again. Now she can ride for a few seconds. Gets on again, slowly builds up to the point where she's now riding without falling off. And why is that? Well, because riding it, the longer she rides, it's reinforcing staying on the scooter. So it just makes sense that the more she rides and the longer she rides, the better she's going to get at it. Now, how did she get there? Well, through shaping. She was approximating her behaviors. First time, she fell off immediately. Second time, for a few seconds. Third time, maybe a minute. Next time, maybe 5 minutes. And now she can ride without falling off, which is our terminal behavior. And with shaping, We're going through these behavior approximations until we reach the terminal behavior. So A likely describes Morgan learning to ride the scooter. What about B, positive punishment? Well, positive punishment is not the process of Morgan learning to ride the scooter, and her behavior is not being punished. Be very careful. Her behavior is being reinforced because she's getting more and more adequate, or she's developing an aptitude, I should say, for riding the scooter as her behavior is reinforced for riding the scooter longer and longer. High probability request sequence. Well, nobody's giving Morgan high probability requests and then asking her to ride the scooter. So there are no high P requests present here. Not going to be C. And then D, negative punishment. Well, nothing's being removed from Morgan. She's not being punished. D is out. What's happening is she's going through these approximations. Approximations are being reinforced. She's getting closer and closer to the terminal behavior, which is riding without falling off, until she finally achieves. Of the following measurement procedures, which procedure requires constant observation of the learner or behavior? Now, when we're measuring, we can use continuous measurement, we can use discontinuous measurement, or we can use permanent product. With continuous measurement, we should observe and record every instance of behavior. So if we're going to be constantly observing, one of these may be continuous reinforcement. We have permanent product, momentary time sampling, and play check. So none of these are continuous. We have to ask ourselves, do any of these require constant observation? Does permanent product require constant observation of the learner or behavior? Of course not. That's one of the advantages of permanent product. You don't need to observe the learner or behavior. What about momentary time sampling and play check? Well, play check or planned activity check is just the group version of momentary time sampling, and neither of those require constant observation because you're only checking the learner or behavior at the end of each interval. So if your interval is 20 seconds, you only need to observe the learner or behavior at 20 seconds. So none of the above require constant observation of the learner or behavior. All right. Thank you for watching. Have a great holidays. Merry Christmas. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials. Let me know when you pass so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. We'll see you soon.